Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and sometimes making videos is quite easy, and today is one of those days. We're going to start with the ultimate Bitcoin maximalist, Michael Saylor. Not more than a couple of weeks ago, this guy was cheering for the regulators to not allow any Bitcoin ETFs except for Bitcoin, and now he's singing a different tune. Here he is.
So here's what I think. I think 2 weeks before, the world looked like Bitcoin was going to be the only asset securitized and offered as a spot ETF by the Wall Street establishment, and it was going to spread as the one legitimate crypto asset. I think right now,
which is what he wanted,
the best expectation is the crypto asset class will be legitimized, supported by both parties. There's an industry. Crypto is an asset class. There's an entire range of use cases, 24/7 digital trading, digital art, NFTs, tokens, decentralized this, functionality, DeFi.
What he's talking about is all these digital assets besides the Bitcoin actually have use cases. This is his greatest fear. He's also not saying that for the last 10 years, he's had this fake Bitcoin regulatory clarity while all the other crypto did not. And this is the reason that most of the liquidity has flowed into Bitcoin. I believe Michael Saylor has a rude awakening coming for him. I don't have any more. I don't need to play any more of that. But here's the reason this video is easy today. It doesn't matter how bad you may be the biggest hater of Donald Trump in the world. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, everything that everybody in crypto has been through from a regulatory perspective can now be wiped away. And there's one man who has stood up and is in favor of all of it, and his name's Donald Trump, like it or not. Here's what he said, and this is from his, what's his thing? It's called Truth Social. I'm very positive and open-minded to cryptocurrency companies and all things related to this new and burgeoning industry. Our country must be the leader in the field. There's no second place. Ha! Well, that's a shot at Michael Saylor, I think. Crooked Joe Biden, on the other hand, the worst president in the history of our country, wants it to die a slow and painful death. I thought he was talking about Joe Biden himself. That will never happen with me. Then Trump, who went to a libertarian conference, I don't know which one it is, but he's at a libertarian, what does this say behind him? Liberty National or something? Anyway, listen to what he said. Folks, like I said, it doesn't matter how bad you hate Trump. This is a no-brainer at this point. And anybody who's still fighting it, maybe you're more pro being anti-Trump than you are being pro-crypto, because there's no getting around this one.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your
goons, including Gary Gensler.
Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will also...
And then he said this. There might be some overlap here, but I don't think there is.
You vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served.
Now we're gonna talk more about Ross Ulbricht, and I'll refresh some of your memories on that. But first, and I think I've said it in my group, but Brad Garlinghouse said to somebody I know at XRP Las Vegas that he expected an XRP ETF by the end of 2024, which would make what Paul Barron says here make sense.
Could And I think the question that everybody's asking is what could be next? Here's Watcher Guru says, Standard Chartered Bank says Solana and XRP ETFs could launch in 2025. If they're saying 2025, we could see that maybe earlier. So think about the speed in which, one, we've got regulatory alignment now going through the House and Senate. You've got all of the scenarios that are playing out in the ETF craze, and most likely a repositioning of the macroeconomic conditions here in the United States, all make for a very interesting time as a lot of these firms will start to look for the next power play.
Man, I've owned XRP since 2013, but there's never been a moment in all that time that I was more confident than I am right now. Back in 2013, I've told the story on this channel. I literally turned to my wife and said, we're either going to lose all our money on this or something crazy is going to happen. In fact, I said that in the documentary too. Now, it's interesting. Usually Christopher Giancarlo, who's the ex-CFTC guy, who I met at XRP Las Vegas, usually he stays in neutral land. He stays in Switzerland in most comments he makes, but not here. Elizabeth Warren's anti-crypto wing is shrinking. Thanks for the thumbnail, Chris Giancarlo. It's the anti-crypto wing is a shrinking iceberg, says former top regulator Chris Giancarlo. Like the sound of that. Now, I wanted to play you this clip about Ripple. This has got a great Ripple quote in it here.
Back now and sort of think about the regulatory frameworks and the policy objectives more broadly. Nina, I'm just wondering if you could sort of kick off, some of the regulatory concerns regarding these different instruments that we're talking about today, including things like, stability, competition with fiat, implications for monetary sovereignty.
Yeah, I think let's focus on, I think e-money, as Diego says, has been around a long time in the UK and the EU as a concept. It sort of started in that traditional sense of a prepaid card and has been stretched. But I think where the focus has been, certainly from the legislative perspective in the UK and the EU, and particularly in the UK, is on stable coins.
By the way, I'm fixing my coffee back in the background. That's what you just heard. And my wife's also in the room right now. Would you like to say anything?
Good morning. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
All right. Here we go. We'll keep going on this.
To think about the regulatory concerns, you take a step back and say, well, what do they do? What are the use cases for them? And the UK government has recognised that stable coins pave the way for faster and cheaper payments, and that the use of stable coins has been on the rise for some time. The UK government reported that in June 2020, the value of transactions in stable coins exceeded Bitcoin for the first time, and we're seeing continued growth of stablecoin use. So certainly from the UK perspective, I think it's also true for the European bodies and certain other regulators and governments, is that if there can be appropriate standards of regulation imposed, then stablecoins do have the potential to play a really vital role in retail and cross-border payments, including settlement, and to deliver things of speed and efficiency and resilience. I think you already see that in the market with the likes of, private crypto asset companies, digital companies like Ripple using XRP as a bridge currency to move money. And the big differentiator they have in the market is that they're doing it in 3 seconds rather than 3 days to move international payments. So I think you're seeing a lot more. I also think that you see in the crypto ecosystem, stablecoins being effectively the cornerstone of liquidity. If you deal with crypto asset firms, that is, they're always looking at the stable coins. So against that backdrop.
Okay. We will move on from that because I wanted to drive a couple more things home. This right here, I think Ryan Selkis is trying to get Mark Cuban on board with Donald Trump for pro-crypto. Now, this is the crowd they're all holding up Ross Ulbricht signs when Trump's speaking. Look.
And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served.
Look at all the free Ross signs out here. Okay, that's a pretty big statement there. And then you have this right here. Here's another angle on that. That's before Trump spoke, but I just wanted to show you all the free Ross signs. Now here's what we're going to talk about in DAIXRP.com. We're going to talk about Ross Ulbricht. I'm going to refresh some of your memories on the Ross Ulbricht thing, but I'm going to address how this has, to me, it reminds me so much of what happened to Stephen Narioff. So we'll talk about that in the group and a theory I have on Ross Ulbricht. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that here we go into the private group.